Right. So we live right here in the studio with my guy. I call him the Black Jesus, but I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Let's give a round of applause to Adam Williams, man. All right, Adam.
It's good, Mike.
What's going on, man? Thank you for coming out today. I appreciate it. I know we had to reschedule a few times, but what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm grateful. That's my word.
Grateful.
Grateful to be here. Grateful for life.
Okay.
We at peace. We're not at war. So, other than the spiritual war around us.
All right. So, Mr. Williams, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Adam Williams?
Well, when people ask that question, I always say, "Who do men say that I am?" I'm just joking. I mean, really, I don't say that verbally, but mentally, I do think of that. It's not about what I say or who I say that I am. It's more about how do people perceive me, and so I think that's a healthy way to to understand who you are and what you're putting out there. Make sure it's not toxic. So what people say, usually they say I'm a politician, or they say I'm a pastor, and I'm none of those things. No titles. I'm just a person that's for the people. I connect people. I love connecting people. That's what I'm known for, is connecting people. I'm a people connector. They also said I'm a resourceful person, so I connect people to resources. They say I know everybody. They say I'm everywhere. So this is what people say about me. So I started to realize that's what people perceive me as, and I started to build my business and my time energy around that perception, so I could be a more effective person. And so I think that's key for self awareness and self development as we evolve as people.
Absolutely. And kind of to lean into that, I feel like that's what tap in or why I created this podcast myself, because I felt like I can relate to that as far as like being a connector and using those resources and those talents to be more effective here in my own community in Lansing.
Thanks.
But let's talk a little bit more about you, Adam. Uh, Appreciate you telling us who you are, but tell us a little bit about your background, where you from, what you
Yeah.
do.
So from Detroit originally, born and raised. For those who want to question, seven West Side to be specific.
West Side? Okay.
Rosedale Park. And so, but then I moved to the suburbs probably when I was in my teenage years, but still I went to high school at UOD. And then I graduated at Harrison my last 2 years.
Okay, wait. For the people that don't know, because I know UOD. What's UOD?
UOD is an all-boys school in Detroit called University of Detroit Jesuit High School, college prep school. It was a great experience, brotherhood, but I had been to a private school my whole life, so I wanted to kind of experience the public school my last 2 years of high school. So I'm grateful for the experience I had at Harrison. Shout out to the Hawks. But yeah, so then after I graduated, I went to Wayne State for a couple years, moved to Cali, took a little break, and then came back and finished with network engineering, a certificate in IT and at a trade school in Southfield. And so all that kind of shifted my career towards, I went to school originally for business management, and then I kind of finished with IT and network engineering. And then I felt led to come to Lansing. My sister, she was at State studying her to be a medical doctor. And so I wanted to just, support her, and my church was up here. I'll tell you that story at another point, but my church, my sister, and my first job in IT, that what brought me to Lansing back in 2008. So
Okay.
yeah, been here for a minute. So
Well, it feels like you've been here your whole life, man.
yeah,
You said it earlier. You do be everywhere,
yeah,
and you do know a lot of people.
yeah. People know me, so
They do.
that
Respectful.
also is why I need to be mindful of my reputation, my influence. So yeah, you know
Okay.
about that as well
I do.
as a politician.
I do. Yeah, in that space, in that world, you do have to be careful of, where you at, what you say, and what you do. But I think it's important also for other people to see the other side.
Yeah.
You're still a human at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah.
You said you don't got no titles. You Adam.
Yeah.
I call you Black Jesus, but you're not Black Jesus either. You Adam.
Just a disciple.
Right. He's just a disciple. So respectfully so. Let's talk a little bit more about your faith-based journey.
Yeah.
Because I think that's important about, as far as who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Like that shapes you. So like what church growing up, like what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, so when I was 12, I just say that because a lot of my foundation of my values come from the age of when I was 12, and I kind of realized that as I developed later on, like, okay, a lot of who I am has kind of come from this experience or encounter at age 12. And so I was verbally abused. I had some personal issues as well. And ultimately, even though I was, privileged growing up with a lot of materialistic things, a lot of other things were lacking. And so I went to a church camp when I was 12, all the way up in Lansing. And so that was my first time really experiencing the best of
What
land.
church was that?
It was Bethlehem Temple Church.
Okay, shout out to Bethlehem.
Yeah, Red House now. So
Okay, shout out
um,
to them.
so I went to the camp, and then that's when I had an encounter just in with God in the sense of learning, that I'm a sinner and I need to look at myself as much as I look at myself as a victim at the time. I realized through the gospel that I also was a villain in the story, and so that helped me look at all my problems and the people that I would blame things on, who actually did have some faults, but still I started to take control of my own environment and actually had to see that I have some responsibility in the process that I was going through. And so with that, the gospel talks about baptizing and being, repentant of your ways. And so that helped me at least give the people who also were my abusers. They say that hurt people. So I start to see that they were probably hurt just like I was, and they're unknowingly, being having a negative impact. And so going back to the statement of who do people say you are, it's always good to check in and see how you're impacting people, to evaluate me. You might be a little more harmful than you thought you was. And so, but I thank God that, through the gospel, I was able to realize that we all need grace. And so even from that age at 12, that's been my motto. And I'm 38. So
Uh,
has been, we all need grace. And so as I learn how to navigate in the spaces I'm in, the most important thing to me is one of the most important thing is relationship, which also relates to social capital. To make sure you navigate and steward those relationships well, not just between people who you see, but even God who you can't see. And so I think that ultimately has shaped what I've been doing in the community. So I'm going to kind of shift and to the where when I said I moved to Lansing, I kind of worked at the IT space for like maybe 10 years. But in the process of that, I lost one of my jobs. And that's where I kind of had this experience where I'm like, okay, what do I do now? And then the prayer, I had to, pray to God to say, I got you the provider of life and opportunities.
mhm.
Can you please provide? And the response was quick. And I didn't really hear, a verbal voice ever. So this time I heard like a strong voice saying, don't take another IT job offer, but volunteer doing what you are passionate about. And I'm like, I don't even know what passion was. For me, passion was sexualized. So I'm like,
Right.
what does that mean? And then I'm like, and I was like, it was 16 and 6 months with crazy stuff. Like I was losing my house, my tenant, I was a landlord at 21. So my tenant had passed away.
Mm.
I was fired from my job wrongfully. Like every month it was a different. The IRS then owed me $7,500 when I needed it to get out of debt. Like a cop lied on me in court was to suspend my license, and unemployment agency said I owed them $4,000. Like every month it was a hit. Like you already know something was going on. I never had none of
Yeah.
that in my life, especially at age. I think I was 24 or 25 at the time, and so yeah, all that was happening, and the response was don't take any IT job offers. And I've been applying for jobs for 6 months as well and getting no response. And so right after that prayer, two jobs hit me up. 1 week, a job hit me up. I didn't even apply for, overqualified for. I just had to, just really believe that this was the answer to the prayer, not to take IT job offers. And so by the second week, I'm like, all right, guy, you already know the situation. I'm hoping that was really your response. And so and in that same 2 week period, I was volunteering for a nonprofit in my passion areas of helping youth and also helping churches. And so, helping the youth, I volunteer with One Love Global. Shout out to One Love Global and Peace and Prosperity Act Youth Action Movement. I was just volunteering my time, my media skills, and then in the church, the Bread House, I was volunteering my organizing skills with helping them meet the needs of the community, as well as with media tools as well. So just doing that kind of got me in the space of fulfilling my own fulfillment of passion. And then by the end of the 2 weeks, I got offered a job opportunity doing that same thing, working 5 hours a week in my passion, making more money if I would have taken an IT job offer, working 40 hours a week. And that
Wow.
lasted for 2.5 years. And so that to me told me that, oh, God was really speaking, because I would not have been doing what I'm doing today if I would have just taken another IT job. People would not have known me. I would have been selfish. I would have been rich, but I would have been like, probably I would have moved from out of Lansing quick because I would have been got that 6-figure job eventually. But I'm so grateful that, not only you can say that God is a reason for what I do, but also that He's with me in relationship with me along the way. So,
Well, first of all, man, I don't see you as an IT guy. So
hey,
shout out to you for even listening to God. I guess I don't see you as an IT guy because I always see you as a connector.
yeah,
But there's more in that. Like we gotta go back. Even early when you brought it up the first time, you talking about you were 12 years old
yeah,
and like you had this epiphany basically. Oh, you like your principles and morals that you wanted to stand on, and you still stand on those to this day. Like that's, I mean, that's tough.
yeah,
That's hard for somebody to like. You know how you have New Year's
right,
resolutions,
right,
and you like, I'm about to work out this year, and then you like, February come around, you don't do it.
yeah,
You did that at 12, like, I'm with God.
yeah. I mean, that was is vital for me. And I think again, if I want to be successful, I need to look at what got me, here to where I am. And so just I'm grateful for that ability to even just have that memory and take those values and principles that I learned and apply them in different spaces. And so, yeah, I mean, if I was to say any words of wisdom or knowledge, it's just to seek God and you'll find Him, and He'll provide you the most uh, peaceful, um, easy, clear journey of what this life could be for you. So,
Okay, I know there's a Bible in the verse that says your gift will make way for you.
yeah,
What verse is it? You do you know?
I do not know. I'm
Okay,
not a
well,
Bible
hopefully, maybe we can get it on the screen and so.
guy.
But yeah, that's what I think of when you say this. Like
Yeah,
you were like, man, I really need this IT money, but God is like, no, I need you over here doing
right,
this work.
right,
And next thing you know, you're getting paid more for less time
right. Yeah.
than what you would be doing in IT.
Yeah, and actually, the only reason I even prayed that prayer was because I heard somebody else share their testimony. So I'm hoping my testimony helps somebody else in their, time of need to make that decision and say, I'm gonna ask God, and so and get some
Hey,
thoughts.
it might be me.
So,
That might have been right on time, man. So moving forward, okay, so you had got that job or that new position, I should say.
yeah,
Basically being in the community.
yeah,
Now, you said that was around 24, 25.
yeah. So it was the year 2012 because that's when I did the hip hop festival. That was wow. But
Okay,
yeah, um, so I was a community organizer and then
gotcha.
also a youth program director. So I had two roles under One Love Global.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
shout out to Angela for helping me understand, more about my story. So appreciate you, Angela.
Yeah, I gotta get Angela on here. I
Yeah,
think that'll be dope.
definitely.
But so you were 24, 25. Now let's shoot to 38, right?
Yeah, that's a big 50 to 12-year gap.
That is a 12-year
Yeah.
gap,
So
but what led you to what you do now?
yeah, and I mean it's always a point or a pivot. So I remember when I left. So I actually back into the IT work at McLaren Hospital when I was like 27, 28.
Hmm.
28. And so,
What made you go back?
well, I moved on from the organizing job. I
Hmm.
think I was getting some good unemployment money. And then I was also driving Uber all at the same time. And so, while also just working in the community. And so, what happened, I felt okay, I'll say, to go back in IT. And for me, it was very like, I couldn't even, like, the first job opportunity that came up was from working with McLaren. And so at first I'm like, it's an IT job, is this something that God, says don't do IT no more at all or what? But what it did, the result of that, going into that job role at McLaren was I got to be closer with my sister. And I didn't even know that we had a distance or a gap between our relationship until she started to share some things with me. Again, when I say hurt people, my hurtness had hurt her while I was growing up.
Mm.
And so So that helped us bond over the narrative of medical, conversations. She worked in that clinic as for her last 2 years. I also worked at McLaren, so we were able to, have a deeper relationship through that, and just have you know, opportunity to just to learn more about each other. And so I appreciate that. And then I feel at the end of those 2.5 years, guys said again, like, hey, I had Bitcoin. I had good money, save up.
Wait, you said you had
I had
Bitcoin or Bitcoin?
Bitcoin in 2017 when it was about to go crazy. So all this, I had a good, and God said to me again, randomly, I'm working. It's time to leave your job. I'm like, dang God, because this, and so mind you, I was at the hospital in IT working with this kitchen staff, janitorial staff, all the way to the CEOs. And I would just, I would be known as a guy that's always smiling and positive. My motto back then was staying positive. And so everybody, pretty much I had a good reputation. And I was also known to even just pray with people if they needed it from administration to the kitchen staff or janitorial staff. And so,
You was praying with
oh
CEOs?
yeah, I mean, with CEOs, not the CEO, because I don't want to be specific, but
Okay.
I was praying with the administrative staff. So
Administrative staff.
yeah, and so
Look at God.
yeah, and then I remember even after I left, I came back just to check on the staff, and they were going through it because IT is like the medical field and all that, especially right when COVID was happening. I visited
I
McLaren.
bet. I bet they was
Yeah,
going through it.
yeah. So just being able to come back in and just say prayer with the nursing staff that I remember meeting, and so it's powerful. And then, again, that's why again I try to really emphasize the value of faith. And so it's not always what you can see; it's also the spiritual world around us that we have to fight. And so with that, God said leave, and I was like, it took a whole month for me to finally hear God say that again, and He knew that I was going to, say no the first time because that's a guy,
Hmm.
otherwise he wouldn't be God. So second time He said, it said the same thing. It's time to go, and I'm like, thank God, and I tried to justify it even more, and then it was like, well, I provided for your valley point in your life. Why not? Why did I not be able to provide it on mountaintop? And I said, okay, that must be God because that was clear as the day that's what happened. If you provided for me that job opportunity I just shared, then of course, but I had no plan. So I put a month's notice in that same day. That I had that revelation, and I just asked God one last time. I said, "Can you just give me something I could tell my boss the next day when I come in of why I'm leaving?" So that same day, I went to help with a youth meeting
Hmm.
because I also had a youth nonprofit called Teens LOL TV. Shout out Teens LOL. That actually helped the youth share their voice. And so, but I was meeting with one of the youth, and they were trying to put on this event, and the person's mom was there. She said, "I would like to hire you as an executive director full time, but you have a job." And I said, "Actually, I don't."
Wow.
And it was in over a church network that was working with helping pastors work together to serve the community. And so, and also at the same time, I was trying to also help youth leaders and directors come together and program directors to come together to serve youth. And so all that kind of just fell into place. And I let her know that actually, that's going to be a good look. And so I came back the next day, told my boss, I said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm about to be an executive director of a nonprofit." When I told my testimony, I said, "Actually, that's not what I had in mind." I was really just because they knew I was a believer. And so they took the testimony for what it was. And so, but yeah, so again, another example that God actually was, involved. You always got to question, was that really God? Is God really speaking? And so that helps also kind of verify, validate what steps I take every time. So here I am today, because I know you want to get to the point of missions field.
Yes.
So missions field is helping people fulfill, or helping churches fulfill missions in a community, or helping churches help people. So I kind of simply say, but we really want to focus on bridging the charitable resources of the church, including people with the professional and research needs of the community that's provided by companies, organizations, and to impact the needs of all residents. And so I use that kind of like triangles, and we are the bridge in between the two to kind of make a greater impact on those we serve. And so really just being more practical and professional about meeting the needs so that there's a greater story that's actually met versus just something that makes somebody feel good. So,
Okay. Well, I kind of want to transition into a following question,
Yeah.
more so about mission field specifically.
Okay.
Where do you see mission field in the next 5 years? Do you see this as your baby that you're gonna sit on for the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Mm.
Or do you see yourself God telling you like, hey, 2 years you're gonna switch?
That's a good question because I'm a jack of all trades. I'm a landlord, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a consultant, and I do a lot of contract work as well, and so much more. I don't even.
Busy man.
Yeah, I do IT, media. Built a what's a pergola downtown.
What is a perog? Oh, the
Yeah,
patio.
the patio. Yeah,
Yeah, man. I seen this man building a patio downtown at Alabosa, and I was so confused because I'm like, I've never seen Adam have a hammer in his hand
yeah,
ever.
yeah. That was
But he built that patio.
hey, man. And again, when I consult organizations, leaders, typically people of color, I find whatever they need and try to find a strategy and whatever. If I'm going to do it
Wait.
myself,
So when you do this, do you do it for free?
it's traded services sometimes. I would say it
Okay,
like
okay,
that
okay.
because I work with I only work with those people I believe in. And so it's not about the money, but it's about the value and the trade.
So I call him the Black Jesus, y'all. Trying to deny it.
Goodness. So, anywho, to answer
Yeah.
the question, 5 years. It's a great question. I hope you ask everybody that question because it's challenging. But I have an answer. My answer is that I want to build something that's legendary that can be utilized and systemic. And so, with that in mind, and I also realized what I created is not just a nonprofit, it's a technology, it's a resource, it's a social network. And so this is really who I am, all in a business form. And so we created a social network called Missionsfield. If you go to missionsfield.org, we also now are actually developing it where it's going to be missionsfriends.com to be the more mindful that it's for everybody and it's an inclusive networks around charitable people. And so in that space, you'll find resources and just cool people to work with. I remember one story I usually share is a person that was cleaning the parking lot. It was a young girl. And
Mhm.
I saw her and it was like a Family Dollar. She was just cleaning and she didn't like she fit into that neighborhood. And so I asked her, I said, what's going on? And, you good? Because I want to make sure you're safe. She was like, oh, I'm good. I just felt led to clean up. And I'm like, cool. I said, like, you part of a church or what's up? She's like, nah, I was an honor student and I just graduated and I like to do this and none of my friends really do this anymore. But this is what I feel I should do. And so I'm like, cool. Well, I'm gonna come back and bring my tools, my bag, and all that stuff, trash bag to help her. And so I helped her out basically. And then also I said, join my social network, and that way, next time you want to do something like this, you can just post in the network, and we'll show up. And so that's the type of network we have
So
created.
like a faith-based social network.
I mean, it's not faith based, but it is faith owned. I'll say that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's for everybody.
That's powerful.
So So with that, like when I did the hip hop fest, it wasn't a faith-based hip hop festival. It was a faith-owned hip hop festival. And in that we just kept the content, family friendly,
Clean.
yeah, for a certain time period. So we help people.
What year was that again?
It's 2012 and 2013 and
Who was
2014.
hot back then?
I mean,
2012, 2013.
I'll tell you my headliners, and this was only local. It was Michigan based, but that's when I brought these three entities, Jose and AOTA at the time,
Okay, okay.
the Black Pack with James and Josh, James Garden, Joshua
Yep.
Smith, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then Ward Skills, shout out Ward,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
OG.
where, yeah.
And just bring those three entities together, and then also, sorry, I've got Jerome. What's his name? Jerome Burling.
Okay.
And so the rapping pastor at that time. And he had his crew called Sounds Good. So brought them all together and to kind of produce this festival. That's a 3-day festival. And then again, just shout out to Ward because he actually had produced the hip hop week before the prior years. And so I was just carrying the torch. And so
Wow.
with that, we actually just helped, people come together around hip hop and learn the deeper elements of hip hop. And I got videos out there. I probably got like so many videos on my YouTube channel. You can find out more about that. But you see the past, it was such a great experience. And I could tell you I met the most people in Lansing during that time of developing and organizing that festival because I would go to all the barbershops. I said, if I'm gonna put on festival for Lansing, I gotta learn,
So you was
yeah,
engaged.
I had to. I had
He
to learn.
tapped in.
I tapped in.
I see it.
So yeah, shout out to Tap In.
Shout out
So
to tap in.
but yeah, we just had to make sure that we knew who we're serving. Like, don't just put on something for people that you don't even have a relationship with. It goes back to relationship and social capital. So that's where, in order for me, even again going back to stewarding relationships, well, you had people that had you had these different people that had different tensions with other groups.
Yeah.
But I understand that we all need grace. You're able to be that bridge, and then gather people around one bigger cause, which is at that time was hip hop. And so yeah, I'm not gonna get too deep into that, but it was a great time, and that's definitely a time where I learned more about community organizing and the value of that. But so 5 years, I'm avoiding the question. So 5 years
Yeah,
ago,
man. Look, we it's all right. It's all right.
I want to surprise y'all, but no, mark my words. So when I watch this back 5 years, I'm gonna be all right. Did I make sure I did what I say? So
This episode 2, man. You on the early side, so you
Yeah.
gonna have to scroll back a little bit.
So my team, I got to shout out to my team. I got 3 staff, and we are definitely making it happen. But my goal is to make something that can be utilized by the community, even if after I pass away. So the social network is that product side. Also, there's a non. So that's more the LLC side. So then I got the nonprofit side where we're developing support for churches and collaborations. That's something I'm going to give over to hopefully my board to then carry on beyond me. So
I hope so.
I know that I am a human being. Life happens, and so I know whatever I build, from learning what other people do and working with 70 other plus business owners, I know that I don't want to build something that just relies on the life and the breath of Adam Williams. And so I like to build on a foundation of whatever's already being built. And so, but what's bringing the nonprofit together is those who care about helping churches help people. And so that's what my board is compiled of. And so I'm grateful that I'm able to identify that, and really my goal is to coach them to develop something that they own and carry on beyond me. And so as far as the product goes, because I love residual income. The product is the social network. That aspect is I'm going to be a Mark Zuckerberg of charity.
Okay.
We'll see how that looks in 5 years.
Hey, he said it. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see.
We're gonna see. But see what God does. But that's my goal, is ultimately just to have more. Number one is, I say, more charitable impact, bringing the church together to impact those in need by making sure we have the professional resources available from organizations, agencies, the government. We make sure, just this past Friday, shout out to you because you actually provided a video. We just launched a campaign to honor churches for their community service.
Yeah.
And so we had the event at City Hall. We honored churches for their community service. Different politicians spoke. State rep had shared a certificate of appreciation that was framed, really nicely done, to honor and thank churches for serving their communities, and that is going to be delivered to those churches. And so the campaign is simply honoring churches, and ultimately the outcome is that we will have more collaboration happen and leverage more the charitable spaces that we have that churches are. I say churches are also known for training and holding people accountable to charity through that love your neighbor as yourself, principle. And so giving more resources for that is valuable, so they can better focus on training those people to be charitable. Additionally, working with collaborative organizations like, I'm not gonna name any, but just think of those like a food bank or a foster care organization, or
Boys and Girls Club,
whatever you want to work with, to make sure that you are collaborating with those, like whether you're sending volunteers to those spaces. I did so much for the Boys and Girls Club. Just I probably volunteered for like 10 years for them.
Wow.
Just doing different things so they know me well. But I remember one time one of the team directors asked me to do a Bible study, and I said, if that's what y'all want, I could do that. But it was cool because it was engaging, and I'm an inclusive person. So
hello everyone, this is Joshua Southern, owner, engineer, producer here at Risky Studios. And Risky Studios, you know, it's a place where you can be yourself. You can be creative. You can, you know, make your wildest dreams come true. You know, so come join us in the heart of East Lansing. Go green, go white, go Spartans.
We back. Adam was telling about his tenure at the Boys and Girls Club and doing a Bible study.
Goodness. So the clarification, team director asked me to do Bible study with the youth by choice. You know, they didn't have to all be a part of it. And so I said, I'm honored just to help the youth whatever I can. And so that was simply a way where I was able to, you know, be a resource for those youth. I learned that I couldn't come in with the curriculum. I had to ask them what they actually want to talk about and just be there to be a reference and a guide. And so it was all different types of youth, and they consistently came back, which was cool. And so then after they graduated, I see them in the community. You know, they still had me as that guy that could be a resource for biblical principles and life principles. And so, but my biggest contribution to the Boys and Girls Club was probably in the beginning when I was recording and filming and just documenting all their things they were doing in the community, because that helped them get resources for their teen center that they had built, provided by Jackson National. And so, and my goal again was just finding out, how do I serve people? My ongoing thing is, this is what happens. If I see a new business comes to the community, I'm gonna say, hey, how can I help you? What's good? Where you from? This is who I am. And it's not a sales pitch. It's like, I want to make sure you have all the resources you need to succeed. I even created a website just out of my own hobby, just to help people have a one-stop shop for all resources that are particularly to the people of color in our community, because that's just who I am. But that website, allblackcap.com, if you're looking for it.
Yeah, they need to know.
But that site has everything that's related, whether it's business, social, entertainment, whatever you need is kind of just posted on there. And I'm pulling from all these different resources and it's resourcing them back to the key sources. So I'm actually posting websites from, shout out to the Melanated Business Network, or shout out to Black Lansing, Black Wall Street. All these they're just links, and all the promoters are on this website. So just the goal is just to help people find resources that can help improve the quality of life for people of color while they're here in this city that, you know, that we're in.
The beautiful city that we're in. Well, thank you for sharing your 3-year plan, 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan that you have for Mission Field. I did also want to see if there's one thing that you could leave with the audience to help them tap in. What would you give them?
Pray. That's real. I mean, because I don't know if anybody else will tell you this, but pray, because you can pray, you could tap in to the source at any time when nobody else is around you. That's what I would hope you really take away, is the power of prayer. My story included prayer throughout that. Even when I didn't pray, God spoke. And so tapping in, it's not just verbally, physically, it's also spiritually and mentally. And so, and tap into those, since we're talking about tapping, and tap into those others around you to make sure that they're good. Don't be selfish. Tap into the younger ones that, you know, you might be influencing, and then tap into yourself to make sure you healthy. Don't give all yourself up to everybody when you ain't doing good. You know, that's when you need to go back to the mountaintop and retreat. And so fill back up. And so, yeah, thank you for having me.
Hey, absolutely. Once again, it's your boy Miles J. Thank you for that nugget. Let's give him another round of applause, y'all.
All right,
my boy Adam, man, we're gonna see him again. Maybe in the next couple episodes, and maybe in a year or two once he get that plan rolling.
Gotcha.
But it's your boy Miles J. We'll see you soon.